Okay, so you cannot believe that this is going to be about the 5th time that I'm recording this. My 1-year surgiversary was January 4th. And since then, I have tried several times to record this video, and each time it's been way too long, like an hour, and I haven't liked it at all. And then finally last night, I finally did it. It was 40 minutes long, and then I couldn't get it to upload. So I'm trying one more time, and I'm actually going to change my format this time. Hopefully, it's going to be much shorter. Because I have a lot of new subscribers, I spent a lot of time talking about my past history, because the way that I've treated this entire year has been very much based on my past history. And even for my old subscribers, I know I don't expect you to remember my past history, and so I spent too much time talking about that stuff as if I need to prove to you the reason why I'm saying the things that I'm saying. So I'm going to start off first of all by telling you some of the underlying principles or thoughts that I've had in my mind during this 1 year. My 1 year looks very similar to a lot of things that other people were doing. However, my thought process during this year, I think, has definitely been very different from what I have seen most people talking about or thinking about or whatever. And that is because this year has really been about redemption to me. I have a video in the past where I talk about not being able to forgive myself when I talk about the last time I lost a significant amount of weight and how I was unable to forgive myself for regaining my weight. And even though I got to the point where I have forgiven myself now for regaining that weight, that still doesn't mean that this year really has been all about me getting that weight off again that I had just regained. I'm going to talk about that more in a second. But it was more than that, because I also wanted to make sure that I really was doing all of the things that I thought it was going to take for me to not regain the weight again. So I've been overweight my entire life. I went on diets all through high school, all through college. Although I wasn't actually morbidly obese until college. When I was around 20 years old, I gained 100 pounds in a year due to a medication. So ever since the age of 20, I'm 46, I have been morbidly obese. My highest ever weight was 320 pounds. Okay, so I've gone on countless diets throughout the years to try to lose the weight. I pretty much was one of those people who's always on a diet. My diets failed until I realized that number one, it had to be low carb. Number two, I had to exercise a lot. And number three, I pretty much had to put 100% of my focus into losing weight and kind of ignore everything else in my life. So over and over again for the past 26 years, I mean, this could be the reason why I'm single and why I don't have any kids, because I realized that I never was successful losing weight when I was in a relationship. I never was successful losing weight when I was in a stressful job. So over and over again, I pushed away opportunities, relationships, because I wanted to make sure I got this weight off, and then I would do it. So it would be like, you know, some guy might have wanted my phone number or something, and then I'm thinking, no, wait, I'm in the middle of this. Let me lose this weight. You know, I'm just going to take a year, and I'm going to get this weight off, and then I can live my life, and then I can do this, or then I can pursue that. It wasn't my weight that has held me back my entire life. It is my idea about my weight in dieting that I feel like have held me back my entire life, because that is what I've been doing over and over and over again. So I thought in 2012, I sat down and I looked back at all the previous diets I had done in the past, and I wanted to see what mistakes I had made, and I wanted to make sure that I finally did the right diet that was going to get the weight off once and for all, and I wasn't going to repeat all of those mistakes that I made. However, obviously, because now this is 2018 and I just had VSG surgery, even that failed. And I will talk about that in a second. But first, what I'm going to talk about is based on looking back at every single diet that I've been on and the reason why it failed. I feel that all of those years of my life would have been totally wasted if I don't take into account all of my past failures and make sure that this time that I really make sure that I customize this entire plan or this entire year or this entire process, that I need to customize it to me based on what my experience has been. And so regardless of what other people have said to me and told me, I did this my way based on my experience because I want to make sure that I didn't waste all of those years failing to not learn from my failures. One of my favorite quotes, which actually Perforce just recently mentioned it in one of her videos, but it's actually something that goes through my head all the time, and it's a quote by Einstein, and it is, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result." That is what I have continually done. And so this year has actually kind of been a weird experiment where I've purposely been trying to do things backwards and different from what I've ever done before, just so I can see if I'm going to be successful and to try to retrain my brain. Now, before you look all confused, because you're probably thinking, what is she talking about? Yes, for the most part, I have done, I do the things that I'm supposed to do. I have my 50 net carbs, I get in my water, I meal prep, I track, I do those things. There are basic things that I do feel must be done in order for me to be able to lose weight. However, the things that I am talking about that I have done this year as an experiment are as follows. So here we go. The number one thing is that I must lose weight the same way I plan to maintain my weight. So one of the reasons I believe that I've always failed in the past is because I would lose weight one way and then I would expect to be able to maintain my weight in a different way. So, or I would put everything into, trying to be really strict, do 20 net carbs or 20 whatever, and then 100,000 calories. And then as soon as I'm not able to do that anymore, then of course the weight comes back on. So this entire year, I have stuck to pretty much the same plan that I plan to stick to for the rest of my life. 50 net carbs. Because carbs for me is the number one thing. Calories, those have changed as I've been able to eat more. That is natural. But I have found in the past that calories have never really mattered all that much in terms of my weight loss success. It has been more my carbs. And so that is what I've been paying attention to. So pretty much ever since even my 6-month supervised diet, I've been doing 50 net carbs. I could have lost more weight this year if I had have done fewer net carbs, but I'm not sure that that's something I would have been able to consistently do. And one of the other things that I keep repeating in my mind this entire year is that I'm not doing things just to get the weight off and to get the weight off fast. Yes, of course, I want to lose the weight. I guess, I don't know how to say that right. But my primary focus is that if I just do the things that I know that I'm supposed to do, then the weight is going to come off. I'm not going to do extra things or crazy things or strict things in order to try to get the weight off as fast as possible. As a matter of fact, I've kind of treated this honeymoon period, if this really isn't a honeymoon phase. Well, I guess maybe I'm out of it by now, but how about using that as a time to experiment and try to figure out how to change my mindset and reset my mind? And I guess that is what a lot of people are doing, you know, by being very strict and focusing on losing weight, that's supposed to retrain their mind so that then once they're a year out, they're already set with the new habits and things. That has never worked for me in the past. I still keep thinking I'm going to tell you about some of the things I did in the past, but you know, I've done things almost perfectly for 2 years, and yet somehow it didn't retrain my brain. So for me, that's not the way for me to do it. What I've decided to do is I have done this whole year in moderation. Once I felt like it was safe to add in certain things, I started adding in things as soon as I could. So I started having alcohol at about 3 months. I think that's also the same time that the first time I ever had popcorn was about 3 months out. And I also think that's around the same time I had candy. Maybe that was 4 months. There's some things I waited a little bit later, but I can't remember. For me, it was important to add in things as fast as possible. Like I said, once I felt like it was safe for my sleeve, so that I could spend this year trying to make sure that I knew how to handle these things in moderation. Also, I wanted to make sure that, once again, that I'm losing weight the same way that I plan on maintaining my weight, which means if popcorn is going to be a part of my life, I want it to be a part of my weight loss. I have never had success in the past by eliminating things for long periods of time and then trying to add them back in small quantities. It never ever worked for me. I've done that before. I've tried not eating things for months and months and months, but then what happens when I add it in? Well, then I go a little crazy. I don't know how to control it. I don't know how to handle it. So this time I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add all the things in as soon as I can so that I can learn how to handle them during my first year. I wanted to try to do all these different things at once and see what was going on. And I understand that that was going to slow down my weight loss, but to me that also was a good thing. Not because I think that I'm going to have less excess skin. I don't think, it doesn't matter how I was going to lose my weight. I'm going to have a lot of excess skin. With all of my up and down dieting for 26 years, yeah, it doesn't matter. But the reason that I wanted to slow down my weight loss is because I wanted to make sure that I don't get down to a weight that I cannot maintain. So I would rather stay 180 pounds my entire life than to get down to 150 pounds and then regain back up to 180 pounds. I don't want to see how small I can get. I have no desire for that whatsoever. I want to see how small I can get while I'm doing all the things and eating in moderation. That's what I want to see. So let's see how small my body wants to get while I'm doing all the things. I don't want to see how small I can get by being strict, because as soon as I'm not strict anymore, I'm going to regain the weight. That's what has happened over and over and over again. So once again, that's something that I did not do this first year. Also, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have an all or nothing type attitude. In the past, that is what I've always done, and that is actually what has always worked for me until it didn't. You know, I could be perfect for long periods of time, even on vacations, being perfect, going to Vegas and not drinking, exercising every day. I've gone to Vegas countless times over the years, and a lot of the times when I've gone while I was dieting, I stayed on my diet, I stayed on plan, I worked out every day, I drank my water. But where did it get me? I still regained all my weight. You know, maybe you're saying, well, that's not the right attitude, but actually, I think that is the right attitude. The thing is that obviously all of these things that I've done before didn't work. And so this year, I did the opposite. I went to Vegas, I ate in moderation. I made sure that the second I came back, I got right back on plan. Now that's something that I was able to accomplish 100% of the time, and I am proud of that. That's something that I've actually been working on for a couple of years now, making sure that I can get back on track after I go off of my diet. So that's not just something I've been able to accomplish, it's something that I've already been working on, but now I feel like I have finally perfected it. Because I think, for me, that what's most important is what I do the majority of the time and not what I do for a short period of time. So I don't feel the need to have to be perfect while I'm on vacation, but getting right back on track when I get back home is what is important. And so I admit, even when I wasn't on vacation in Vegas, I did do a lot of getting off track and getting back on track and going back and forth. Sometimes it was on purpose. You know, I did it because I'm like, well, I'm trying to do, it's not all or nothing. I don't want to be perfect. And I would use that as an excuse. But it also was, I'm trying to retrain my brain that it's okay to have a treat. It's okay to have a snack. Let's learn how to handle these things in moderation and not go crazy. Because later, if I wait until later, I think I'm not going to know how to handle it. Okay, so what else is on this list? I wanted to make sure that I wasn't depriving myself, so I think I've already kind of talked about that. So it was very important for me. I wanted to make sure there was nothing that I was like looking forward to once I got to my goal weight, or looking forward to a year after my surgery or whatever. Because once again in the past, that has always backfired for me. Because then as soon as I got those things, I would work really, really hard so that, yeah, once I get to 6 months or once I get to whatever, I could have this thing. And then it would always backfire once I had that thing. And it still kind of kept me in more of a diet mentality where I was waiting for something to happen based on my weight or whatever. This time, I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing that this year. I've given myself to add in all the things that I want to add in, even though just by whatever, there's still, you know, I still haven't even had rice yet. Because, I don't know, for some reason the idea of eating rice seems really heavy to me. And I wasn't really a big rice person before surgery. I think all the low-carb diets that I've ever been, there's a lot of things that just were not a part of my life anymore. Even though, like, bread never left my life. I wish it did. But then there are other things that, over time, I just never ate them very much anymore. So, yeah, so it's like I haven't even had rice yet. Like, not even once. I've been happy with my cauliflower rice. Pasta. I've tried pasta, like a bite here or there in Vegas at the buffet, but other than that, I haven't had pasta at all in what I consider my real life. Pizza. I've had pizza in Vegas 3 times, but I have not had pizza in my real life at all. And I kind of like the idea of that, you know, I don't know, just having pizza when I'm on vacation. But I don't have to have pizza when I'm just on vacation. But knowing that I can have pizza whenever I want it and that it's okay kind of makes me feel like, I don't need to have it. I wish I felt that way about alcohol. I admit that one has a hold on me. Not excessively or anything, but yeah, I definitely know that I would have lost much more weight this year if I didn't add alcohol to my diet. But since alcohol is going to be a part of my life, then to me it was important for me to add it so that I can learn how to drink it in moderation. And I do feel like as time has gone on, I've gotten much, much better during this year with moderation. Because that's what I've been practicing this entire year. I think a lot of people wait until their second year to kind of practice it. But then, to me, by then you're struggling with trying to maintain your weight. it needs to be as easy as possible. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that, life is always going to throw us curveballs over and over again. The number one reason that I regained my weight in the past was something would happen. I would lose my job. I would have unexpected surgery. I would move to a different state, like all of these different things. And I take my focus off of diet and take my focus off of exercise. And so then the next thing I know, I'm regaining my weight. Well, this time I have decided that, I want to make sure that while I was losing my weight this year, that I wasn't focused 100% on my weight, that I was focused on other things too, that I was, like I said, doing things in moderation, so that when something major happens, I'm already in the groove of knowing how to not have to be focused on my weight 100% in order to keep my weight down. I don't know if that makes sense. And the thing is that I know I'm probably talking like I know what I'm doing or something like that. I've just been experimenting this entire year. I have been pleased that it actually worked. But I don't know for sure until I come back to you with my 2-year video. Because to me, all of these things that I was doing was to try to ensure that I wasn't going to regain my weight. I don't want to regain. And I say that, I know it sounds silly because of course nobody wants to regain. But I feel like a lot of people are planning on regaining. They want to get down to the lowest weight that they can so that when they regain, they'll still be okay. No, I don't want to do that. I would prefer to stay at the highest weight so that I don't regain. Maybe I'm a chicken. I don't know. But I'm tired of regaining, and I don't want to do it again. I emotionally cannot go through that again. I don't want to do it. And so, let me give you like an example here. This whole year, I've also just really been trying to not focus on a number. Just trying to focus on being consistent, living in moderation. However, a few weeks ago, at the beginning of February, I decided maybe I really do want to try a little bit harder to try to get down to my goal weight. And maybe I haven't really tried to see if I could do less carbs and if it would be okay. I've done less carbs in the past. I know I can do less carbs, but I want to make sure that I'm doing things that I can consistently stick to. And so I thought, well, why don't I try 40 net carbs? That's not too bad. And so I did try that for a few days, and it drove me crazy. Like, just the idea that I had to get 40 net carbs made me not even get 50 net carbs. I did so terrible with my carbs because I felt like I was focusing on my weight, and I was focusing on, stop it. I was just focusing on trying to lose weight. And every time I do that, that's when the mind games start. And so I went back up to my 50 net carbs, and immediately, like several days, I had 40. I hit 40 net carbs, or even 30 net carbs, because once I give myself permission, that helps me a lot. The purpose of this video is for me talking about my thought process and what I've done this past year. But the one piece of advice I have for other people is you figure out what works for you, and that's what you need to do. What has made you be successful in the past? And if you were successful in the past, what was it that happened that caused you to fail? And make sure that you're trying to take those things into account right now. The other thing that I've been doing is not depending on my tool. To me, depending on my tool is the same thing as depending on a diet. I know this tool is a part of me, but it changes. Every day it's different. The more time that goes on, I can eat more. I don't want to depend on something that is not the same. Does that make sense? It's not trustworthy. I want to depend on something that I can absolutely trust, which is my mind, which is why I've been focusing on training retraining my brain and retraining my thought process. And that's why I weigh and I measure my food, and that's why I track food, because that is something that's reliable and something that I can depend on. I'm not depending on my tool, because to me, that's another trap for me to fall into, that I've fallen into before. Maybe I don't need to go back. I was going to go back and talk a little bit about what I've done before, but I'm not going to do that. I keep looking over here because although this is the first time, of course, that I've ever done YouTube before, but the last time I did weight, I blogged about it in this blog and then I printed it out. It was a whole year, and then these were my progress photos. So one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of emotional highs and lows this past year is because I went through the emotional highs and lows the last time I got into Wonderland. I put my heart and my soul into my diet. I changed everything about the way that I ate. I changed my friends. I changed my daily routine. I became a runner. I was doing 5Ks, not running the entire 5Ks, but walk running the 5Ks. I did a Spartan race. I did a Spartan race. I did all these amazing things that I never ever thought that I would ever do. I thought that I had changed everything about myself. I became the type of person who would exercise instead of eating snacks. Like, what? I did all those things, and yet I still regained my weight. And so that's why this time I really, really wanted to focus on why did I fail all these other times before. And I think that I put my finger on it. Mostly, the most important thing is making sure that I stay consistent with doing the same thing the entire time. And I can't go back and forth between thinking that I can lose weight one way and then changing and trying to maintain my weight in another way. And then the other thing is that I've spent this entire year working on meditation, working on my mind, working on mindfulness and gratitude. And those things have really helped me a lot with being able to handle the stress of my job, since I'm not even going to go into that, but yeah. So helping me with not stress eating, helping me with emotional eating, helping me with being conscious, I can't even say the word, and to be present, because I think in the past that has led to a lot of my failures. When you're eating unconsciously, you know, when you're snacking because you're bored, things like that, meditation has actually helped me a lot with that. In the past, meditation has never helped me, but for some reason, just this daily 10-minute meditation that I've been doing or trying to do daily, I don't always do it, but that's what I've been trying to do. It has helped me a lot. So I think I am going to end this. Once again, I'm not even sure that I like it, but whatever, I need to get this out. But I feel very good about this year. I'm pleased that it has worked so far. I'm very surprised that it has worked, like I said, because I've never ever been able to successfully lose weight when I wasn't dedicating 100% of my attention to it. I've never been able to not lose weight. I've never been able to lose weight doing things in moderation. I haven't been able to focus a lot on exercise this entire journey. I've focused on moving, but this is the first time that I've ever lost weight without exercising consistently. So it's like, I know that, you know, people get upset when people say that this is the easy way out. It's not the easy way out, because the thing is that losing weight, no matter how you do it, is hard. But this is easier than losing weight without the surgery. It just